Welcome back to another episode of Talking Sports with Brandon. Here we are, week 3 preview. So I'll be making my 5 picks and I'll be going over some of the games I find the most interesting of the week. This is after the Thursday night game, so the Browns did beat the Steelers 29-17. I wouldn't have picked that game anyways if I did this episode before then. I wasn't thinking about it. But just a quick, I guess, kind of review of that game. It was actually, the first half was actually more scoring, high scoring than I thought. It was 14-3 Pittsburgh at the end of the first half. You could have told me this game could have been, I don't know, 17-14 at the end, and I would have believed it. And I think the second half was more of what we thought this game was going to be, where it was just not a lot of offense, nothing's really happening. That's kind of what these two teams are. They kind of rely on their defense more, and now obviously, the Browns have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, so they do have a running game, and they do have a good offensive line, but it's just the quarterback battle in this one isn't the best that we'll see throughout this season. That's for sure. But again, it was 14-3 after the first half, but then the Browns kind of took control. 16-14 after the third, and then Nick Chubb scored a touchdown to make it 23-14. The Steelers got a field goal late, and then to get it to 29, the Browns, with no time on the clock, the Steelers were just lateraling it and just throwing it around, just trying to make some type of play happen. And they fumbled in the end zone, and the Browns recovered for a touchdown. So it really was like 23-17 at the end, but it didn't matter. They still win no matter what. It helped my fantasy team, though, because I did have Browns defense who, even though the Steelers really weren't doing anything, the Browns defense wasn't getting, sacks or interceptions or fumbles. So they really did me nothing, and then they got that touchdown at the end. So that got me a free extra 8 points that I wouldn't have had otherwise. So I'm thankful for that. But, yeah, it was kind of a boring game, to be honest. Which I think is kind of what we thought was going to happen when we saw Browns Steelers be the week 3 Thursday night game. But yeah, that was a little recap of that game. But the games I'm most excited about this week is Bills Dolphins. I think the Dolphins are going to be a team that's going to be an exciting game. Anytime they play a good team, it's going to be an exciting game because they have so much speed and quickness, and if Tua can just play a solid game, during against those teams, they're gonna have a real shot at winning. I mean, as we saw against Baltimore last week, that was probably the game I was most excited about, and it turned out to be arguably the best game of the week. So I think the Bills do win this game. This isn't a game I picked for one of my 5 picks, but I think the Bills do win because they are the best team in the NFL. But I think Miami's a shot. I think if Tua can just play solid football, and he's not going to go for 6 touchdowns again, but if he could just play, just not have the turnovers and just hit the guys that he's got to hit. He's got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle as his receivers. Just give those guys the ball. They're going to make plays. And this defense of Miami could just maybe do something against the Bills. I would assume Gabe Davis is playing in this game, so they'll have him back. But obviously Allen and Diggs is arguably the best combo in football. Right now, I would say for sure, but again, maybe just even last year. Last year was probably Stafford and Kupp, but this year it looks like it could be Allen and Diggs again. I think 2 years ago it arguably could have been them as well, but as long as this defense can just do something to stop this, not stop, you can't stop this offense, but just limit them, make it tough, make life really hard for them. Every single play that they run, they're earning those yards, whether it's running the ball or passing the ball. If they could do that, I think they have a shot. But again, Miami's home. The line for this one, just to say what it is, it's Buffalo 5.5. Again, it makes sense. If it's in Buffalo, it's they're up. They're favored by more than a touchdown. But again, I think a lot of people, I think Vegas and a lot of people betting, I think they have more faith in Miami, after these first 2 games. Because again, they've looked impressive. You can't say they haven't. So I think this will be a good game. This is a 1 o'clock game. It's probably the best 1 o'clock game in the window, I would say, for those 1 o'clock games. Just to run through them, there's Texans, Bears, Raiders, Titans, Chiefs, Colts, Lions, Vikings, Ravens, Patriots. That could maybe be a good game because it's Ravens, Patriots. There's so much history between those two teams in Foxborough. If New England's defense could really step up and stop Lamar, I think that would be a close game as well. But I think the Ravens should be able to pull that one out. They are better than New England. And as long as their offense is moving, New England's offense can't catch up to them. So if Baltimore puts up 24 plus points, I think they win that game. But again, if New England can limit them offensively, I think that game will be close. But we'll see. Bengals, Jets, Eagles, Washington, Saints, Panthers, and that rounds out the 1 o'clock games. So, like I said, then obviously Bills, Dolphins are in that. That's the best game through the 1 o'clocks. And it should be a really good game. I think it will be. And I guess it's technically a battle for first place, I guess. Whoever wins that will be guaranteed first place in the division. But moving on to the 4 o'clock games, I'll run through them and I'll say the ones I want to talk about. But it's Jaguars, Chargers, Rams, Cardinals, Falcons, Seahawks, Packers, Bucks. And the Packers-Bucks game is the one I want to talk about. That's, again, not amazing 4 o'clock games, to be honest, but Packers-Bucks should be a good game. We'll see what the Bucks look like. I think that's really the biggest question is who's playing wide receiver for them, because Mike Evans isn't. Julio Jones might be. I don't think Chris Godwin is. They signed Cole Beasley the other day, so it seemed like obviously he'll be playing, but they're gonna have to rely on Fournette, and the Packers defense is a good defense. It is. I think running the ball, you could maybe get them a little bit. David Montgomery had a good game last week against them. But, Fournette's going to need to look like week 1 more than he did week 2, where he did really nothing in week 2 against the Saints. So if he could just be solid and get you positive yards and just kind of make the defense have to respect your offense a little bit more, because I know you have Brady and I know, obviously it's still Brady, you have to respect them, but if they really have no one on the outside, you could just stack the box for the run. So the runs are really going to have to be key for them, and they're going to have to really block well. They're going to have to really, show early in that game that, they're going to be running the ball and they're going to be getting, 6, 7, 8 yards every single time. Like, if they could do that, I could really see them competing with Green Bay. I think the good thing for Tampa is that they have a really good defense as well. As you saw through the first 2 weeks, they've been really good. Against the Cowboys, obviously they gave up 3 points. The Saints, I think the Saints scored 10 points, but the touchdown that they got was with like a minute left in the game, so they really held them down to 3 points the whole game. And they have a really good defense. That run game that they have, against the run is good. And the Packers, that's their big thing. They want to run the ball. They don't have the receivers on the outside anymore. The offensive line and pass block is not amazing. It's a way better run blocking team. And when you have Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, it makes sense why you would run, because you have 2 really good running backs who can complement each other really well. One's more of a power back, and the other is more, speed, quickness, elusiveness, and Aaron Jones. So it's a really good 1-2 combo. They're going to run the ball more than half the time easily. So I think this game, you see Brady, you see Rodgers, you want them to be head to head, but I really think it'll be which run game can win. I think if whoever's run game is more productive, I think they're going to win the game. Because I think it'll be a low scoring game in terms of what you would think possibly going to this game with a Brady versus Rodgers. You're probably hoping for into the 20s, maybe 30s. I think it'll be low 20s, to be honest. One team may not even get to 20. I'm not sure, but I think it'll be a game where you win the game in the trenches. That's what it is. Whoever's offensive line can dominate the other defensive line, and the run game is working, they're going to win the game. I'm not sure who that is. I didn't pick this game. Just to tell you the line, it is in Tampa Bay. The line's -1 Tampa, so they clearly think it's like an even game here. And I would argue, I would agree with that. So we'll see. If you want me to make a pick right now, I'm gonna go with the Packers, because I think their defense can hold up better. I think that 1-2 punch, like I was saying, of Jones and Dillon is just a little too much for them to handle. They're also really good at screens as well. I think that's a good way to kind of just pick up yards. If some teams are better at screens than others. It sounds weird, but it's true. Like me being a Cowboys fan, I know that's true because we're awful at doing screens. We really don't run them, and when we do, they don't work out. But the Packers are a team where it seems like every time they run a screen, it always works. That's just what it seems like. But I would go Packers in this one. I think as long as Rodgers, he seems to have trouble against Tampa in the passing game. The last couple times they've played, he's thrown some picks and just not looked great in the passing game. I know he's lost. I think he's lost 3 of the last 4 times he's played against Brady as well. So it'll be a good matchup, like I said. But I'm gonna go with Green Bay on this one. The next game I want to talk about, the Sunday night game, Niners Broncos in Denver. The line's -1.5 San Francisco. First game is Jimmy G being the starter. Trey Lance is officially out for the season. Broken leg, ankle, ligaments, everything like that. The whole 9 yards in that. So he's gone. It's Jimmy G's team now. The Niners have to be so lucky that they didn't trade him. They have to feel so ecstatic and happy that they didn't do that, because imagine you had some random backup behind Lance, and then that happens, your season's over. So now with Jimmy G, you're still in the hunt to be one of the best teams in the NFC. I think this will be a good matchup, even though the Broncos haven't looked great. They haven't looked good through the first 2 games, playing the Seahawks and the Texans, and they lose to the Seahawks and they barely beat the Texans at home. So that's not encouraging, and the offense hasn't looked amazing yet. So it's, you're maybe hoping you'll go against the Niners, but the Niners have a good defense. I don't know if that's really going to be the case. Obviously, I guess one thing that maybe helps is that Russell Wilson does know the Niners. Obviously, played against them the last 10 years and knows that team. But I'll be interested to see how they attack them offensively. Because this is game 3 now. And you have Nathaniel Hackett as your head coach. He's calling plays with Russell Wilson, with Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy. This team needs to start going offensively, because right now they're not going to be like this the whole season. They have too many guys on offense to look like this, but it needs to happen sooner than later, because you're 1-1 right now. Raiders are 0-2. You got lucky with that, but Chiefs are 2-0, and the Chargers are 1-1. Those teams are going to run away with the division between them two. Again, I still think Chargers, but if you want to make a wild card spot, you got to win these games early, and this is a good test. I think with the Niners coming into your building on Sunday Night Football. I think that this is kind of a prove it to the rest of the country kind of game for them. That's we didn't look great in the first 2 weeks. The first 2 games we looked really bad, but everyone thinks the Niners are this team in the NFC that can really play for an NFC championship or even a Super Bowl berth. They're coming into our building. We're gonna win. We're gonna show that those first 2 weeks were just fluky. We weren't totally set. Everything wasn't going as the way that we wanted it to. But this is the game where we prove to everyone that we are a true contender in the AFC. Now, personally, I don't believe that, but of course they're not gonna have any doubt about themselves. They're always gonna think that we can contend for the AFC, even against the Chargers, the Chiefs, the Bills, all these other teams. So I think this is a really good test for them. I do think the Niners win this game, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Broncos win. I really wouldn't. I think that this game is going to be close. It's going to come down to the end. It's whoever doesn't make the mistake at the end of the game, quarterback-wise, which Jimmy G definitely has. He's kind of prone to making mistakes. I think there's times where he's better and there's other times where he's not. Obviously, if you're a Niners fan, you hope that this game isn't one of them. But whoever makes that mistake, that fumble, that bad throw, that interception towards the end of the game, you need a third down conversion. What are you doing on that play? So, like I said, this will be one of the better games of the week, I think, for sure. And then the last game, the Monday night game, I guess I'll actually get into my picks because this is one of them. So it's Cowboys at Giants. The line is -1 Giants. I know they're the home team. So, you kind of get the 3-point kind of buffer thing or whatever. But, whoa, I had to go Cowboys here. And obviously, I am a Cowboys fan, and I will be there in person for that game. But, I mean, +1, that just means you really try to win the game, obviously. So, I think the Cowboys do win this game. I think the Giants, I just made a Cowboys video, which will be up by the time you're seeing this video. The Giants came back and beat Tennessee. That looked like a good win after week one, but you see Tennessee get blown out against the Bills. Not even competitive at all. Like, they're not the same team that they were the last couple of years. They're probably looking like they'll maybe be lucky to be 500. I guess in that division, it's possible because you have such other bad teams in that division. But they looked like dysfunctional right now. The Titans do. In week two, the Giants beat the Panthers. They barely beat the Panthers, who are also 0-2. And that game was an ugly game, to be honest. That was not fun. That was not a good game to watch if you watch that game. So now facing the Cowboys at home, Monday Night Football. You know, I just think that I think the Cowboys win this game. That's all I think about. As long as they could stop Barkley, who's the only guy who can hurt you for the Giants offensively, because Daniel Jones isn't going to kill you. They really don't have receivers who are going to do anything against you. So as long as Barkley doesn't go off for a big game, they shouldn't really be able to score more than, I don't know, 16 points, to be honest. Which is kind of what they've done the first 2 weeks, is like the 20 and I think they scored like 20 and 16 or something like that. So I think that's going to happen. I think the Cowboys, as long as they can run the ball, effectively and get good yards off those runs, I think they'll be fine. I think the defense, like I said, will stick up. They'll make plays. They'll cause Daniel Jones to have turnovers and make dumb decisions. Again, the offense, Cooper Rush, make it simple. Do what you have to do. Hit the guys who are open. Get the ball out quick, and lean on those running backs. I think the Cowboys win this game. So that was kind of an easy choice for me, being +1 against the Giants. My other games, I'll go Bengals Jets. Bengals -6 against the Jets. The Bengals have to get going at some point. I think that's this week. You lose against the Steelers in OT at home. You'll lose to the Cowboys and Cooper Rush in Dallas on a last-second field goal. The offense hasn't looked good at all. There's no time for Burrow in the pocket. I think against the Jets, even though they came back against Cleveland, whatever, they won the game, they're not that good of a team. They are one of the worst teams in the AFC. It's still Joe Flacco as the quarterback. Even though he had a really good game against Cleveland, there's no way that happens again. 2 games in a row, I don't see that happening. I think he's going to have some turnovers. He's not going to look good. People are going to want Mike White to be the quarterback after this game, or even maybe halfway through the game. I just think this is a game where the Bengals show that they're the team that made the Super Bowl last year. You don't. And again, I wasn't that high on them last year, and they made a run, which is what you need in the NFL. But they're a better team than what they're showing. I mean, it's hard for them to score points right now. They're too good of an offense. They have one of the better quarterbacks in the league for being how young he is. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, like Joe Mixon. Too many weapons on that offense for them to look this bad so far. I think this is the week where it turns around. -6. I think they'll easily win by a touchdown. I think they win by 2 touchdowns in this game. I'm going heavy on the Bengals against the Jets in this one. My third game, Raiders-Titans. It's -1.5 Las Vegas. Again, 2 teams that are 0-2 who just haven't looked good. I guess the Raiders have looked better because you argue they held in there with the Chargers in week 1. I think they lost 24-19. Week 2, they were up 20-3 against the Cardinals and blew that game at home. The Titans just haven't looked good at all. I think as long as Derrick Henry's not killing you on the ground, you don't have to worry. Tannehill's not that good of a quarterback, and they have no receivers on their team. The defense, there's a couple decent players, but you can really expose that secondary, which I think will be the case. I think Derek Carr is a really good game in this one. Devontae Adams will be good. Waller will be good. Renfro. So I expect the Raiders to really kill them in the passing game. And again, -1.5, you can win by a field goal and you still get it. But I think the Raiders will kind of show, again, kind of similar to the Broncos. It's like you got to show that you truly are a contender and you're someone that is a threat. And obviously right now that's not the case. So I think this is the game where they show that they're better than what they've been playing. And again, they 0-2, that's a bad start. You can't be 0-3. I think they will be 1-2 after this game. Saints Panthers is my next one. -2.5 Saints. The Saints, they looked they didn't look that good in week one. They barely beat the Falcons, who aren't that good of a team. And then week two, they looked awful against the Bucks. Turnovers every single drive, basically. Jameis is playing with like broken bones in his back or whatever he's dealing with right now. Kamara didn't play, to be fair, in that game. It looks like he's going to play in this game. So you get Kamara versus McCaffrey. That would be a good matchup, but the Panthers just aren't that good of a team. I don't see, they have a couple decent players on their team, but they're just not that good of a team as a whole. I think at some point in the season, Matt Rule will be gone, probably sooner than later, to be honest, especially if they start 0-3, which I do believe will be the case. I think it'll be a close game because I don't think the Saints have, I don't think they're capable of, blowing a team out. But I think they do win by more than more than 2.5. But I think it will be close. I think it will be a game that's not over until there are 0 seconds left on the clock. And then for my last game, Jaguars at Chargers. The line's -7. I know Herbert. He's injured. He's dealing with a broken rib cage or whatever it exactly is, but it is a broken something that's in him from Thursday night. They played last Thursday night, so you got some more rest days, kind of get more prep time for the Jaguars, who. Again, they shut out the Colts last week, 24-0, but you're going against a different team. As long as Herbert's 85% healthy, 90% healthy, I think that I think Keenan Allen's playing in this game, I believe. I'm not exactly sure, but I think he will play in this game. So you have him and Mike Williams, Austin Eckler, Herbert, like I said. They should be able to beat the Jaguars by more than 7 points. They're at home as well. I think the Jaguars have showed definitely moments, and going to the season, I did expect them to be better, and they proved that with that shutout victory against the Colts. But maybe that's a little bit more telling of the Colts than it is the Jaguars. I'm not sure. That was definitely disappointing for the Colts to lose 24-0, but like I said, I see the Chargers, maybe not blowing them out, but definitely winning comfortably and being able to kind of hold a 2-touchdown lead. Maybe the Jaguars backdoor cover this or something, but that would suck. Obviously, I think I can see that happening. Chargers are up 13 points or whatever. The game's over, and the Jaguars get a late touchdown to cut it to under 7. So I can see it happening. Hopefully, it doesn't happen. But yeah, those are my 5 picks. I'll just rattle them off again. So it's Bengals Jets -6 Cincinnati, Raiders Titans -1.5 Las Vegas, Saints Panthers -2.5 New Orleans, Jaguars Chargers -7 Chargers, and Cowboys Giants +1 Dallas. So again, after last week, I'm 4-6. I'm hoping to be over 500 after this week. Always want to be over 500. I feel confident about these games. And yeah, we'll see what happens. I'll be back with the recap of week 3, which should be out in a couple days, probably I would say Monday, Tuesday. Actually, not Monday, but probably Tuesday, maybe even Wednesday. So yeah, look forward to that video. And yeah, like I was talking about earlier, there's a couple exciting games this week. I think the Sunday night game will be good. I think the Bills-Dolphins game, that's going to be the best game of the 1 o'clock window. And then the Bucks-Packers will be the best game of the 4 o'clock window. So I guess you do have a couple games that you can highlight and look at. But yeah, it'll be another good week of football. And like I was saying, I'll be back next week. Thanks for watching. And yeah, come back next week to listen to my recap of week 3.